Well, fellas, some of you guys in the comments section have challenged me to do a free-to-play grind of the game, meaning I start on a new account with no premium time, and I go up a tech line without spending a single cent on the game. And well, last week I decided I was going to go ahead and do that. I thought it'd be an interesting way for me to take a look back at when I started out the game, because I started the game as a free-to-play player. I didn't spend any money on the game until I got to like tier 7, tier 8, and compare my experience back then to that of what I'm going to run into today. And also, I thought it'd be pretty interesting to see how someone that has a pretty, I'm not going to say like all-encompassing, but I've played the game for freaking 7 years at this time, right? So I've got a pretty good grasp on the game, how it works, how the economy works. So I want to see how fast I could get up to high tier using my in-game knowledge, and of course eventually get to tier 10 on a complete free-to-play account. So that's what I did. Now, I didn't start on a completely, I guess, fresh account, although the account that I did this on was pretty empty. So if you guys don't know, we do have a clan for the channel, TSOF, and there's actually 5 clans that make up TSOF, and each of these clans has, of course, an account that owns, quote-unquote, the clan, and I have several alternate accounts that simply exist just to own the clan, and that's it. So I picked up one of these accounts that had the smallest amount of battles on it. That way, I could track my stats and see how well I was doing and how many battles I had played overall, just to get to where I was at. And that's where I started from. If you look at the account, it's a pretty old account, but it only had like 6 battles on it when I started this grind, meaning that I couldn't even sell old modules and such until I was almost done with the New Mexico, because I hadn't grinded out those access levels yet. If you don't remember, when you first pick up the game slowly unlocks features for you as to not overwhelm you, so you have to play so many battles to unlock each feature. And one of the later ones that you get access to is the inventory, where you can sell all your unwanted camos and modules and upgrades and such. I couldn't even do that until I got through the New Mexico, so that's how empty, if you will, this account was in terms of battles and such. So it's not like I had access to all that from the get-go. So it's pretty much as close to a fresh start grind that you can get without starting over on a new account, because it is a pretty new account either way. Also, if you look at the account, there are a couple of premium ships on it. Those came from some Santa containers that we bought to test the drop rate for the Makarov back, like, 4 or 5 years ago, and everyone was getting a Makarov from their Santa containers. So that's where those ships came from. As you can see on the account page, I haven't played them, I haven't touched any of them in years on this account, and I didn't use anything that those containers gave us. I didn't use any resources that I hadn't acquired from before the start of the grind, so I only used the resources I got, during the grind for the grind. So that's what's going on with all that, if you see that on the account stat page. But anyway, how was the grind? Well, first off, man, I missed protected matchmaking. If you guys don't know, for the first either 200 battles in the game or until you get to tier 5, you're in protected matchmaking, where you're playing against essentially lobotomized bots that don't know how to aim and just sell in a straight line, and it's so easy to death strike them. I had some crazy games in the South Carolina and in the Wyoming, and it was glorious, which of course shot me through those guys to the New York mighty fast. So one thing that we've talked about on this channel, and that is still very much true today, is that if you partake in the events and such that are going on in the game, you can get a lot of stuff for free. And I played, I think, maybe 5 battles on this account that weren't premium account battles. After like my 5th battle, I opened up a container and I got a friggin' week of premium time just out the door like that. And then I got a couple more days of premium time. I think at the time of recording, I still have a week left of premium time on this account without paying for it, because they just give it out so often, or I got that lucky. I don't know, but that's what's happening. And like on my main account too, I have so much premium time because I play this account, my main account, every single day, because obviously I'm doing YouTube and such, and you're fulfilling combat missions, you're getting containers and such, and premium accounts just kind of given away, it seems, at this point. So yeah, a lot of these battles have been done while on a premium account. But it's because they just gave it to me in these containers or in these events and such. So there's that. Also, yeah, I'm running economic bonuses on these games you're watching in the background because, well, with the events going on right now, you can easily acquire quite a bit of these green economic bonuses. I know because that's one strategy I've been doing. I've been completing the combat missions for the American Independence Day event, which is still going on right now. I'm just cashing them in on these American containers. And I'm just sitting on a pretty nice chunk of green bonuses.
Groovy.
At this time, and I'm using them, along the way. Now, they are the green bonuses, so they aren't, a crazy boost to your income, but it's a pretty nice boost overall to your economic income. I've even managed to acquire some blue ones as well, which I do run from time to time. But yeah, it's not that hard to get free stuff in this game. What is annoying, however, is that, my God, the game has changed a lot since I went through the American battleship line, and I have had so many matches that are just infuriating because they end so fast. I don't have time to do anything. And it's stuff that it's like out of my control too, which makes it even more infuriating. Because, like, if I sell broadside and I get blasted and I go back to port in 5 minutes, that's on me, right? If I goof up, yeah, that's on me. I get that. I understand that. But when I'm on a flank, or I'm just getting to a flank because I'm playing the American battleships, and of course when you get to the Colorado, you're in the slow mobile, right? You get there, you get in range, and you get it, like 30, 40,000 damage in, and the match is over. It's like, wait, what happened? Like, I just got here. I just got to my flank. Oh, all my destroyers died in 5 minutes. Oh, my carrier managed to die in those 5 minutes as well. Well, I'm screwed. And, when you're having to get these economic bonuses and such through these events, you have to grind out the combat missions or whatever to get these boost and such, and you're running them, it's like, oh, I just wasted that, or I just wasted, this flag I was running, because obviously it's a free-to-play account. I don't have a whole lot of combat flags. I'm kind of saving them for when I do get to the higher tier matches, so I'm only really running the detonation flag, which that cost 180,000 credits to resupply afterwards. That's not cheap. And when you're doing this on, tier 5 ships, because, getting detonated in the first 2 minutes of the match isn't very fun and isn't very great for your grind. But now it's like, oh, dang, well, might as well not have ran it because the match is over in 5 minutes and I gotta, pay for this flag or any other flags that you want to, run as you are going up your grind, because, stock ships are kind of miserable and that speed flag looks really nice until I can get that upgraded engine, That is absolutely infuriating. It just feels like it's a waste of your time and a waste of credits. And that was happening quite a bit in mid-tier. Mid-tier, so like tier 5 to tier 7, that's what I call mid-tier. Tier 8 and above is high tier in my book. I had a lot of matches where you had double CV, double sub games, but like someone in the CV or the sub set in matchmaking for too long, and now you're in like a 6-ship game, but it's a double CV, double sub game, so that sucks, to where you're one of a handful of surface ships in this game where, 4 of the ships on either side of the team are ships that aren't, surface ships, and you're the Pinata. And you're in a New York, and man, it sucks. So that was something that was definitely a new level of frustration. And what's super frustrating about all that is, as most of you should know, the main grind in the game are credits, not XP. Credits don't change based upon whether or not you win or lose. XP, you do get a nice buff to your XP if you win, and not if you lose. But credits, it doesn't matter what you do in terms of win or lose. How you play in that match and what you do in that match, that's what matters, more so than winning or losing. So you can have a loss and still make plenty of credits. It'd be like, okay, I didn't get too much XP that match because it's a loss, but look, I still made a bit of credits, so all is well, let's continue. But we have these matches that end so quickly, or you get this weird matchmaking where you just, it's impossible for you to do much because, half the ships on the enemy team are CVs and subs. That is just so infuriating. And I wasn't playing at any super weird hours, usually playing like midday during the summer. Summer is one of the lower times for the game, but, once I got out of that like tier 6, tier 7 matchmaking bracket, it didn't really happen at all. And I think that's because, again, you have more CVs and more subs in those matchmaking brackets because that's where the lines start. It's where most players are starting out with their submarine and CV grinds, so there's more of them playing them there than at higher tier. And again, they're sitting in queue for 5 minutes. So it's not really their fault. It's not really Wargaming's fault. I guess if you want to say, it's matchmaker, I guess you could say that's Wargaming's fault. But that was just super frustrating. And that didn't happen back in the day because, of course, subs weren't a thing and CVs weren't that popular back when I went through the line in the first time. So mid-tier is far more painful than what I remember it being back when I went through it the first time. Higher tier wasn't bad so far. Now, I am at the North Carolina right now when I'm making this video, but for me, it's kind of like, okay, I got to the North Carolina. The rest of the line is good from here on out. It's pretty smooth sailing. The stock North Carolina grind, being in the tier 8 matchmaking bracket was pretty miserable because, stock North Carolina, it goes like, 24 knots with the breeze. It's sluggish. You got the less HP and such with the North Carolina's armor. That's not fantastic. But the tier 8 matchmaking was a bit more forgiving. Oddly enough, you would think that, being at tier 8 now, you can double it up tier to tier 10. That's actually miserable. It wasn't too bad at all. Because I would have a game where, I'm a tier 8 ship in a tier 9 or a tier 10 game. Can't really do too much. But man, when you got like tier 8 matchmaking or even tier 9 matchmaking where it wasn't a hard up tier, like the game watching in the background, it's a tier 9 game. I got up tiered, but it's not a hard up tier. Like it's only one tier up. I think there was like 4 or 5 tier 9 ships per side, so it wasn't too bad. And I had a great game. And this is typically what would happen with my tier 8 game. I would have, with my tier 8 matchmaking, I would have, one game that was like, okay, it's a tier 10 game. I'll do what I can do. Then I'll just get back, hopefully we'll have a tier 8 game next. It would kind of just seesaw back and forth. And it was a pretty okay experience so far. It's just that, you got to sit there and put in the matches to get out of tier 8 and then to get into tier 9 into the Iowa. And obviously then you're going to have the super ship matchmaking happening next. But I'm not there just yet. I am at the North Carolina right now. So how long did it take me to get to this point playing as a free-to-play player, just grabbing what premium time I can get by playing the game and all the boosts and stuff that I can get by playing the game? Well, removing the 5 or 6 matches that were already on the account at the time that I started this challenge, if you will, took me about 65 games overall as a completely free-to-play player, spending no money on the game, just, again, grabbing the resources that I can get in the game as I'm playing through this grind. 65 games. Now, granted, I am someone that has been playing this game for 7 or 8 years. I know how the economy works. I know how to min-max it. I know, especially with the American battleship lines, I'm very familiar with that line. I know what upgrades I do need for these battleships, what upgrades I don't. Like, the North Carolina doesn't need the range upgrade. Why? It can get the module and can get its range out to like 24 kilometers or something like that. The shells are not going to get there in time to do anything at that range. Don't need the range module for the North Carolina. And you have the spotter plane too, so who cares? So with that, 65 games. Pretty good. And my stats look pretty nice as well. I've had apparently a 64% win rate. I can tell you, it has not felt like that at all when I've been going through this tech line. I am surprised it is that high. I thought it was going to be in like, the 50s or something, not 64%. That's kind of crazy. And you might be saying, well, yeah, because you had those matches in protected matchmaking. I screamed through that pretty fast. Most of these games have been out of protected matchmaking, in tier 5, 6, 7, and 8 matchmaking. So that's kind of weird. I thought that was going to be much lower. My PR is apparently 2,693. Super Unicum. That's not a word I would use to describe myself at all, but again, it's a line that I know, and again, I know how to, freaking min-max it. I know the ins and out of the American battleship line. So as far as like the new player experience goes, again, this is on a new account. They had less than 8 battles, let's say, before I started this grind. And I mean, again, I've got still like 5 days left of premium time on my account. I could probably get more before that runs out for free. I believe I have enough doubloons to buy probably a week's worth of premium time, again, just getting them out of containers and such. And by playing the events and just looking at the events, looking at what I needed to do, again, I've got plenty of boost and stuff to make this grind go by this fast. Granted, again, I know what I'm doing, right? So, yeah. While someone like me is able to make this grind pretty fast so far, I'll probably be able to get to the Montana. I would be willing to wager in just under 100 games. Maybe if I keep going at this rate. Who knows? Maybe I'll hit a wall when I get to tier 9. But I think we can get to the Montana right at or right below 100, depending upon how it goes in the future. So, pretty interesting clip that we're going at here. I don't know, because now that I say that now, it's probably going to be like 120, 150. I think we can get to the Montana in under 200 games. I think that's a better estimate now that I'm really looking at the stats. So, but yeah, that's it's been a pretty interesting experience for me. Camos, who cares about camos? I've been running rusty naked ships this entire time. But yeah, it does go to show that the game is still pretty new player friendly compared to some other free-to-play games. I doubt you would get anything near this level in like World of Tanks. Definitely not in War Thunder, because of how unforgiving those games are with their economy and with what they do and don't give to new players when they do start out. And you might even say, well, this is the problem. If they're giving away enough bonuses and stuff for a new player to potentially get there this fast, if they, as a free-to-play player, can get to tier 8 in 60 freaking games, they're doing something right at that point, and I don't think that's really too much of a problem. But that's been my experience so far. We'll see. Again, maybe I'll hit a wall when we get to like the Iowa or something. But I do think we're aiming for like Montana before 200 with the clip that we're going at so far. I'll do a follow-up video when we get there, but it's been an interesting time. It's been pretty fun, pretty frustrating along the way. Lots of ups and downs. Pretty much a big roller coaster of emotions doing this, but it's been a time indeed. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. If you've done something like this, if you're planning on doing something like this, share your experiences in the comments down below. Hope you guys have a wonderful, when is this coming out? Wednesday. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.